Ah, the joys of being a 27-year-old teenager. Well, hello, everyone. This is your old pal, Hannibal Collector, back once again for 31 Days of Halloween 2024, and this time it's day 21. Directed by Irwin Yeawood Jr., written by Theodore Simonson and Kate Phillips, who coincidentally coined the name of the creature, and based on an idea by Irving H. Milgate. And of course, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm talking about the original 1958 sci-fi horror, The Blob. The Blob stars Steve McQueen and Annetta Corsalt. The Blob marks Steve McQueen's first starring role. As I said earlier, Steve McQueen was 27 when he was playing this teenage character. The Blob is about an alien organism that wreaks havoc on a small town after being released from a meteorite that crash lands to Earth. This blob begins consuming residents of a small town and grows larger with each victim. What I found interesting about the Blob is it wasn't just a creature that consumed everything in its wake. It was only able to consume living organisms. So that was very interesting to me. That was a good way of explaining how it wasn't taking out buildings and was able to ooze through things while consuming its victims. Steve, appropriately played by Steve McQueen, must convince the residents of the small town that this is not a hoax and that the Blob is real. A cool scene for its day to me was when Steve McQueen's character was able to convince the young people in the town, his friends, to go and warn everybody. And over the course of the movie, as victims are taken, people are running and different things are tried, like electricity that doesn't work. We finally find out its weakness. Steve puts the pieces together and we learn that the Blob hates cold. And then, you know what? Watch the movie for yourself. I don't like to give everything away here. I think I've given you enough information to make this interesting. Just tell you a few more fun facts here. Even though the film has a huge cult following, it wasn't well received by critics when it was released. One of the most common complaints was that the cast was a bunch of virtual unknowns. Steve McQueen, although headlining, wasn't a big name at the time. Now, when it comes to the effects, you get arguments on both sides. Some say the effects weren't well utilized, and weren't that great. Other ones say they were the true star of the show and that they did some very interesting things. Interestingly enough, a lot of the arguments were they didn't see enough of the Blob creature and that the movie was too talky. They had too much dialogue. They didn't want to see the characters talking amongst themselves as much. They wanted the story to move along with the creature chasing them. That seems to be the general consensus of people that didn't like the movie. And this is one I found really interesting. Writer-director Joe Dante, best known for Gremlins, Gremlins 2, in 1962 put it on his list of worst horror films of all time. Apparently he didn't care for the drag racing, and he didn't like the way the creature was ultimately defeated. But I think it's fair to say the Blob had the last laugh. Unheard of in Hollywood, but the film only used $110,000 of its $120,000 budget. That's right. The Blob came in under budget. Now, do you care to guess how much it made back in the box office? Go ahead and leave it in the comments now. I'll wait. All right, you got your answers in? $4 million. That's right. They spent $110,000 and made back $4 million. But here's the kicker. Steve McQueen was paid $3,000 for the lead role, which is a pretty fair fee for an unknown actor at the time. However, he turned down an offer of a smaller upfront fee for 10% of the movie. That would have been 10% of $4 million. I mean, it's great. He went on to do big things, but I bet you as a 27-year-old with his first starring role, only getting $3,000 when he did the math on what 10% of $4 million would be, that's gotta sting. It stings for me, and I'm not even involved. So the original title for this film? Molten Meteor. So let's all thank Kate for coming up with the name The Blob. So for me, I'm a big fan of The Blob. I'm happy to have watched it again this year. This is a film that I like. I'm a big Steve McQueen fan anyway, and the fact that I like sci-fi 50s horror, this was totally my vibe. I like seeing the way movies were made back then. I like seeing what you did with effects when you didn't have CGI, and it's such a beautiful restoration when you watch this film. I don't see why anyone would hate it. I get if you want to watch it with a little snark and crack on things. That's fun too. I do that with friends all the time. But this is a fun movie. I'm not sure what the critics were seeing, but I don't know the vibe of those days, right? So I enjoyed the film a lot. I'm happy to watch it. I need to own this one. I absolutely do. That's one I for sure want to own. And I just really like this film, and I'm glad it got made, and I'm glad people still watch it. All right, guys, I'm about to have to go get ready and suit up for my gig. I've got 4 more days left in doing this, and then I won't be making as much money as I've been making in the last month here, but that's fine. This was just a temporary gig that I picked up. But do me a favor, show some appreciation. If you guys can just gas this up. I know I ask this every time, but I'd love to see you go back through all my 31 days of Halloween videos. Give them a like, share. If you can watch them to the end to boost me up in the algorithm, that would be appreciated. Anything you can do to help me out, I appreciate 1, 2, 3, 20, 1,000 of you watching. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep making these things, but give me feedback. I've tried a few different things on here. Let me know, hey, you're too loud, you're too close to the microphone. I like it when you react to movies. I like it when you give background on movies. I like it when you do commentary or general reviews. Anything you can do to help make this channel a little more streamlined. I'm trying to find exactly how we're going to do the YouTube side of this channel, because I'm only showing these videos on YouTube. My other socials, completely different, and I'm working on something on those as well. And of course, the end goal is to get a channel that you guys want to come to every week and watch something. I have some ideas for next month, and we'll check those out as well. So make sure you're following, click that bell, subscribe, and as always, this is your old pal, Hannibal Collector, signing off.